Hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. Hope you had a wonderful day. We are excited to talk to you guys today. Hi, Jamiyla. Welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
Just fine.
There you go.
Welcome everyone in. Give people time to come in. Hi, Miss Vivian. Hi, Sharnetta. Hi, David, Greg, Monty, Mark, Tissa, Valerie. So good to have you all in here this evening with us. You know how we do it. Drop your city and state. Let us know where you are joining us from this evening. Got Jacksonville, Tacoma, Washington. Newburgh, New York. Connecticut. Fredericksburg. Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Richmond, Virginia. Very good. Memphis. Welcome back, Miss Charlotte. Jamiyla, where are you located at?
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. Okay, you're my neighbor. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky.
Hey, I like Kentucky. That far.
Hello, Miss Cherie.
Hello.
Hey, I like Kentucky.
Oh, well, we are waiting for our second guest to come on. I heard Tawana give the hellos to everybody. So I will say hello to all of you too. Ooh, don't have my earrings on. Gotta throw my earrings on. Look halfway decent, right? How's
Isn't it
everyone
amazing
doing
how an
today?
earring can just give you a little facelift, isn't it?
Just, yeah, the right
It
earrings will
does.
do that. We hope everyone is doing well today. Hope you're having a great one here. Got a couple of exciting topics today. This whole member spotlight thing was actually Tawana's idea because we have such amazing members that we wanted to have once a month, a couple of members come and talk about either projects they're working on or their business or just something extraordinary that they're doing. And every month I will put out a call for people to actually let me know what you're working on. And I will say that everyone's submission is amazing. It's really hard to select, but we try to select things that either are like universally attractive or like really unique and like, I didn't know that that was a thing. So, but everything that we get has just been wonderful. So, with that, welcome to the 10K project. Everybody, if you're just here for the first time, please put your city and state in the chat if you have not done so already. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about us before we get started today with the topic. We are the 10K Project. We are the largest community of Black investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. What does that mean? I'm going to start saying we're Shark Tank meets Powernomics because somebody said that to me and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a good way to say it. Basically, we bring three groups of people together. The first group are entrepreneurs that are raising money anywhere from $10,000 to $5 million for their businesses. This can be done through equity crowdfunding, which is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA. Then we have our second group of people, which are investors. This is everyday people like you and I who have $100 or more that if we hear about a great business that we want to invest in, we are able to do so. And we do that through our Bet on Black pitches, which happen again kind of It's not exactly Shark Tank style. The entrepreneur gives a presentation about 15 to 30 minutes on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the interesting thing about us is the community as a whole gets to ask that person questions, that founder questions. So it's very intimate and very exciting. You get to see Black excellence every week. So those are the investors. And then the third group of people are experts. So what happens is the whole idea of the 10K project is, for example, if 10,000 people came together and put in $100 each, that's $1 million. We could start funding our own businesses. But what we would like to see is the Black dollar circulate longer in the community. So how do we do that? We do that by, once the entrepreneur gets funding, they usually need to hire people, whether they're hiring full-time, part-time, contract labor, et cetera. They hire everybody from accountants and attorneys to graphic designers to writers, et cetera. We have that talent in-house within the 10K project. So again, it's the entrepreneur, the investor, and the expert. I will say everyone is an expert, even if you are just super organized and you know how to do project management or something like that. For the entrepreneurs, they need all of those skills within their organizations. So come find out about us, learn about us, the10kproject.com. We have all the information there with regards to who we are. And we have testimonials up there now. So you get to see our members. And we even have founder testimonials. So you get to see some of the entrepreneurs that have been highlighted. And we just, we have a great time and we're looking to make a super big impact on the world. So, Tawana, did I miss anything?
No, ma'am, you never do.
Oh, perfect. I love it. So, well, we don't have our second person here thus far, at least that I don't see Aura yet. So if she comes, we'll bring her on. But Jamiyla reached out to us. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I do that, Tawana, do you have any other announcements, period, before I jump into Jamiyla?
No.
Okay. Jamiyla has an interesting story. So when I put out the call for members to be highlighted, she came back and said, I'm buying a property from the city. And I thought, that's interesting. So she was going through the process. What I would love to do is just introduce Jamiyla and let her tell us a little bit about herself. And just Jamiyla, just tell us like what made you want to buy a property from the city? How did you do it? We'll probably interject with a whole lot of questions, y'all, because Jamiyla is just here by herself right now. We can do some real deep dive Q&A. If this is something that you're interested in, please put your questions in the Q&A for us so we can make sure to get them. But Jamiyla, we'll let you have the spotlight.
Thank you so much. I'm Jamiyla Muhammad, an entrepreneur and investor from Columbus, Ohio. And I just recently purchased property from the city. Somewhat interesting story. I was told by my landlord in 2018, the first time, that I had to move. And I had 30 days to be out of my home. I'm a mother as well. And it was traumatic for me, to be told that I had to move in 30 days and not really anywhere to go, trying to figure out, how I'm going to make sure me and my kids sleep well in 30 days. And I started looking for other options immediately. Ended up moving into a really nice house. It was a rental property, loved it. And 2020, I was told again, completely separate landlord, totally different situation. But this landlord came to me as well and said, you have 30 days to move. I'm selling the property. So in 2018, it happened for them to sell the property. And in 2020, when I got that news, I said, no one's ever going to sell my house again. How can I get my own house so that I don't have to worry about being put out in the event, the market is doing something crazy and someone wants to sell their home? I reached out to some realtors in the area, some friends that I knew that had purchased, and could probably possibly assist me with purchasing. And after 3 attempts, having my credit ran to purchase a property, I was denied. I was denied for a few different reasons, I was told. The biggest one being that because I'm an entrepreneur, my tax keeping had not been up to par. So the lenders that I was initially working with said, either you're going to go back and amend your taxes for 2 years, or there's nothing we can do for you. And I was frantic, racing, trying to figure out what I was going to do, where I was going to go, and stumbled upon land bank properties. Every city, no matter what city, has uh, normally almost every city has properties that they take over, whether they take them over due to someone not keeping up on their taxes or a death, an owner death. The city takes over these properties. 9 times out of 10, they're in terrible condition, and they sell them. So when I came across that, I said, oh, this is perfect for me. A lot of people were so skeptical and like, you need to wait and just get a traditional mortgage, and this is not the way to go. It's so expensive. You'll have too much to do. And I've been unconventional my whole life. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. And I was like, what works for you probably won't work for me. I'm a hard worker. I like to figure out different ways, and I did just that. So I was on the City Land Bank's website, looking at properties and land that they had available. And I thought to myself, wow, you can purchase this property for $10,000 cash. That's it. And it's yours and you own property. And after, continuously researching and talking to everyone that I felt maybe. Oh, no. I thought you had some fancy bracelets.
Go ahead, Jamiyla.
After, after talking to different people that I felt could assist me, I said, I'm going to get that property. And it's a pretty extensive process. 9 times out of 10, any property that the city has acquired or taken over is in very bad shape. So you're unable to get a loan for that property, at least a mortgage style loan. I may have been able to go get a personal loan of some sort, but being an entrepreneur and investor, saving is very important to me. And when I saw that you could purchase the property with just cash, and you didn't need a realtor, you didn't need, a lender, you didn't need anything else, that was the best idea. That was the best option for me. And I went ahead and did it.
I am so proud of you.
Yes.
I mean, hand clap.
Let's
the
just do it.
ingenuity.
Let's just give a real one. That's what's up.
I
How
agree
brave
with that.
to take such a task on.
Yes. So let's then, first of all, it's amazing how your personal story led you to this point, because it doesn't sound like you would have ever gotten to land bank if you had not had those two experiences. So I'm going to say, ain't God good, because of this, you are able to hopefully help others. Yeah. And what kind of, what do you do in terms of entrepreneurship? Like, what do you do?
So I've been a cosmetologist for 20 years almost.
Okay.
And in 2011, I took on becoming a tax preparer. And I was able to kind of use the money that I made every year preparing taxes as savings and vehicle for investing. So doing it was how I, took care of home and my kids and my daily. And then every year tax season, I said, I'm going to make 40,000. I need to make 40,000 this year. I need to make 20,000 this year. And got better and better. Started preparing taxes, and I was able to use, I was taught that, your business income, you invest. So I looked at, my tax preparation as business income, and I used that to save and invest.
Fantastic.
Very good.
So Chris is, go ahead, Tawana, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying very good.
Yeah, yeah. Chris is asking, are you going to spread out into other areas besides Columbus? So, yeah, why don't you answer that? And then we'll come back to like the process itself, because you hadn't had a chance to talk about that.
So absolutely. I have family in other cities and states. My brother is in Iowa. My mother's in California. My dad is in DC. My best friend's in Atlanta. And I have had all of them sending me land bank property.
Everybody's in now, right?
It's like a no-brainer. Just to be transparent, I mean, I purchased my property for $12,500.
Okay.
And I immediately thought, we could put everybody puts $1,000 in it, and we have another property. So absolutely, I will be branching out very soon and getting property in other cities and states.
So then let's talk about the process itself, because you said that it was a tedious, long process. So why don't you walk us through some of the steps that you had to do?
So, of course, even though it's a different process, it's still a process just like purchasing any other home or property. What the city requires is that you purchase in cash. For you to be able to purchase in cash, you can't just walk up and say, I have 12,000. They want to see history, bank statements. They asked for my business bank statements. They wanted my personal bank statements from all of my accounts. I was able to use my retirement account, my IRA, to show proof of funds, because that requires that you show proof of funds. And the majority of the proof of funds is going to be for the renovation. So you essentially cannot purchase unless you have the ability to renovate. The first thing I did was I had to go look at the property, right? So assess how bad it was, the damage. And I did that with someone very close to me who has been a contractor in the past, but barely is working in his field now. He went to the property with me to assess the property. The city requires you to fill out a template, and the template details everything that needs to be done in the house. Mine in particular was a full gut renovation, so everything needed to be done. Walls, new floor, new HVAC, new electrical, new plumbing, new porch, new roof, everything. So I took the template with my contractor, went over to the property. We assessed an estimate of how much everything would cost. And when you go back to the city to give them your template is when they want to see the proof of funds for the amount that it's going to cost for you to renovate. My rehab specs for my renovation totaled about 40,000, maybe 38,000. So what I was required.
That's not that bad.
Not bad at all.
Not for a full gut renovation.
Definitely.
I was expecting you to say 100. I mean,
how big is the house? Do you mind sharing that?
A very small home. It's a 2-bedroom home. It's 984 square foot. And you guys are all family here, so I'm going to let you know this. You cater your renovation and rehab specs to what you can afford, right? So of course I could have done $100,000 renovation, but do I have $100,000 to show them? No, I didn't. As best as possible, my contractor said, well, you can cut costs here. Right. And, let's cut costs here and do this. did the rehab specs. My rehab specs totaled about 40. The property was 12.5. So I had to show about 55,000.
Mhm.
I
And
love that. Jamiyla, before you go
yeah.
on, let me ask
Mhm.
you this. I just want to be clear. We're not talking tax lien. This house is free of liens. It is free of taxes. It is yours outright.
This house is free of lien. I owe absolutely nothing once I'm finished with this renovation. I have no mortgage. I have no debt. I have equity, and that's it.
Yes.
So I
That's
Wow.
what I'm talking about.
um, that this was just the best option for me. I don't know why so many others don't, especially considering, entrepreneurs and their tax statuses, and the fact that, you know, an, uh, typically people don't have lump sums of cash, but
Mhm.
entrepreneurs always run into cash somewhere somehow. We always getting some thousands of dollars at one time, and then we're getting thousands again at one time. It was just a perfect no brainer for me.
Yeah. So can I take a step back and ask you, how many properties did you look at before you decided on this one? Like, was it like hundreds of properties or?
So it wasn't hundreds of properties, but initially, I was looking to purchase a home traditionally. So
Mhm.
I started looking at houses there, and
Mhm.
um, after I was denied and I wasn't able to get a traditional mortgage, I started looking at land bank properties. There were not very many options for
Okay.
property through the city land bank, but um, definitely land. Before even the land bank, what I was told was, okay, well, since you can't get a traditional mortgage, buy a foreclosure. Foreclosures are sometimes 50,000, 40,000. You may be able to buy a foreclosure. So I really looked at maybe 100 foreclosures in my vicinity as for the I think maybe 6 months is what it took for me to apply for the city land bank property. And within those 6 months, foreclosures was my main focus and goal. I said, I'm going to buy a foreclosure. I'm going to get a foreclosure. Land bank, once I found out about the land bank, I moved my focus to that. And I probably saw maybe 10 land bank properties beforehand. I was going to buy one in another city, but you have to be a resident.
Mm.
That's why I put my family on board. I said, we all residents. So we're going to work on this together and get our property. The one here was a great option for me. There wasn't another, I was the only applicant on that property. And I said, I'm gonna just drive my focus here because this is for me. This is for me.
So that was the next question I had. You just touched on it. Is there a bidding war that goes on for these properties?
There is a bidding war for these properties. Initially, when I saw the property, I sent it to one of my contractor friends, and he said, "Oh, um, the city, I already know who the city is going to give that to. Investors go to the city land bank and they swoop properties up." I went to see one of the properties, the first one that I did not get. I ended up meeting an investor there who's very popular around Columbus, very, very big investor. And he said, "Yeah, this is what investors do. We buy these properties for 5,000 and 10,000, and we have them fixed up and we flip them." And I said, "That's ridiculous. How come we can't?" Investors, you guys have access to $1 million and are buying hundreds of properties a year. Why can't I? You know,
Very good.
Yeah, I love that. We have another question in here from Miss Vivian. She's asking, how much land do you have? So I know you said you have two-bedroom, but yeah.
one. So, I mean, the land that my home is, the properties one is not even an acre. So
Mhm.
it's not even an acre, but
But it's yours, girl. You
And
own it
and
free
no
and
one
clear.
will ever tell you to get out. When you ready to sell it and do something else with it, that's going to be on you and on your terms. So this
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, I can appreciate you. If it wasn't for my mother, I would have probably tried to do something similar to you, because if you do not have a mortgage and if you don't have a car payment and if you don't have a student loan, like you can basically do whatever. You can like, I don't feel like working for this week. I think I'm going to take off, right? Stephen is asking if you had an attorney or if you needed one.
So I didn't need one. I probably should have had one,
Mhm.
but I did not need one. I did all the negotiations myself. That might have been why it took a little longer. I put my application in with the city in September. I did not close on that property until May.
Ooh, that's a long
So
time.
that's a long time,
Yeah.
but I was kind of like in limbo. And thank God
Mhm.
for my sister, because I stayed there and was able to save still even more while I
Mhm.
started it.
Do you
But I
think that that time frame had to do with, was it pandemic related and staffing resources on their part, or do you think it's really that long of a process?
know so that the standard that I was hearing from everybody, other investors that I talked to that dealt with the property, that dealt with the city, and even family members that I found out had bought property through the city were telling me it could be 3 months.
Okay.
It could be up to 3 months. It could be 4 months. So I definitely believe that the time that it took me had a lot to do with COVID. I mean, it was September 2020. So, it was still in the kind of in the midst of COVID. The kids I don't even think had started school yet. So
Mhm.
it hadn't even been back to school yet. So, um, yeah, I definitely think COVID had a lot to do with it.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting that you said you had a family member after you went through the process, you found out a family member had done it before as well.
My family member was the first person that ever purchased a property from the city land bank when um, the I believe Columbus mocked the city land bank program from Cleveland.
Hmm.
Uh, I believe it was 36 years ago when it started. My godfather was the first person in Columbus that purchased a city property
Wow.
You
and
have history then.
is now worth 2 million.
Ooh, he still owns it?
Still owns it. Well, we don't know if it's worth 2 million, but I was over there and they were building the neighborhood is a transitioning neighborhood in Columbus. So
Mhm.
of course they're gentrifying everything. They're tearing stuff down. And I was with my goddad. We were talking about the process of buying
Mhm.
the city. And some contractors and investors came from across the street where they were building apartments and offered him 1.5 million. And he said, if you're offering
That's
me,
sure not going to do. I'd like to get.
he said, if you're offering me 1.5, then I'm sure it's worth two. So,
Much more.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
he
That is
bought
true.
a house from the city, and the one next to him, the one next door to him, he also purchased from the city, tore it down, and on the other side tore one down. So now he's sitting on like lots of land.
Mm,
Nice.
good
Big house.
for him.
He's added on to it, made additions, and I said, "This is the goal.
Mhm.
Goal right here."
Good,
City
good.
Land Bank. That is it called anything else, or is that what we should be looking for? City Land Banks?
Even in other cities that I've looked at, I looked in Nevada. I looked at so many. There, it all says like City Land Bank. It's maybe Nevada Land Bank, or
Okay.
I have a family member that lives in Des Moines City Land Bank. So yeah, they're
Okay.
all land bank.
All right. We're gonna break the internet tonight.
Yes.
We're gonna
So,
all get to
okay.
Google it.
So then let's talk about the dreaded contractors, because this is part of the reason why I'm like, no, let me own a note. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, finding contractors that can do a full gut or like any kind of major work is the hardest thing for professional real estate investors, much less An amateur, I'm going to call you an amateur homeowner. Talk to us about that and how how you found your contractors and, if you pulled your hair out or if you were like,
Yeah.
no,
Did
I
you do
have a smooth
anything
time.
yourself? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Were you in Home Depot figuring out yourself?
All of that, because it's a part of research, right? It's a part of
Mhm.
research, and I need to know. I want to know what's going on in my property. That it's better that way for me. So I personally just want to deal with all Black contractors. Hopefully, no one kills me for saying that. But
Listen, these are your dollars. You can do whatever you want to with them.
I want I'm helping my people. I want them to help me. That's it.
Mhm.
So there is a very big Facebook group in Columbus. It's called Columbus Black Owned Business, and I actually have found each of my contractors from, with the exception of one, from the group. I just reach out to them there. I see their work there. And because I've been in the city my whole life and they have as well, I can always easily call someone and say, hey, we're Facebook friends with this person. Do you know him? Have you worked with him? And I've definitely done my due diligence to do that. It is definitely tough working with contractors. And I do not have, my GC doesn't do everything. So I still have to have a contractor for almost every section of my renovation, right? So it's definitely hard. I just try to keep a positive spirit, a good attitude. I keep thinking about the $100,000 that I'm gonna get after I'm finished with this, and that just keeps me motivated. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me going because it's just about consistency, right? When you stop, everything else stops. So you have to just keep. I just keep going. I keep looking. I keep talking to them, and trying to make sure I do my due diligence. I go to Lowe's all the time. I go to Home Depot all the time. I'm online all the time, searching, and Habitat for Humanity is a great place too. And yeah, so I definitely will do some ending things on my own. I'm gonna lay the floor in my bathroom. I'm gonna paint all the rooms.
Girl, do you go?
Laying floors.
That laying floor. I'm like, what? You go, girl. Are you documenting this on Instagram or anywhere?
Documenting it on social media, but
Mhm.
personally, yes, I am, because I do plan on um, making this a thing and sharing my experience with everyone.
Yeah. Girl,
Believe,
can you make it a course?
of
That's
course,
the girl. You took the words out of my mouth.
I'm
Yep.
thinking this needs to be a course.
it has to be there. But I said, when I found this out, I said, "You're telling me I can have 5 people put $2,000 in an account, let it sit for 30 days, let it sit for
Mhm.
60 days, take that statement and show the city and say, let us buy this property, and they have no other choice but to give it to me, I'm getting it. I have instant equity. Like, why don't so many other people take this route, as opposed to getting a $250,000 mortgage that you're keeping for 30 years? And, I'll take this route.
Good for you. Well, we have questions in here. Uh, we have, let's see here. Donna is asking, do you have to be an investor to purchase or can you be an individual?
Complete individual. So every single land bank site that I've been to thus far, you there's an application period. So the city will say, we're accepting applications for the next 30 days. Or maybe 60 days. So the first 30 days is open to individuals, non-investors, people who are going to either live there or continue to own the property. And it states that within the terms, the first 30 days are only open to those who are going to own the home and stay at the home.
Okay.
Then the investors can come in and have their applications reviewed if, maybe the owner occupant does not make it.
I like that because at least a little guy or woman can have a chance, Um, Teresa's asking, you got a ton of questions. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They actually favor owner occupants. So of course it's great to have investors come, but that's part of
Mhm.
the recognition thing, right? So
Yeah.
of course they're going to say, well, we'd rather you stay here with this property and take care of it and
Mhm.
get the street fixed and call us when people are hanging out on the corner,
Right.
most of the
Right.
investors just buying and flipping.
Right. Right. That makes sense. So, Teresa is asking, were you able to stay within your budget for the renovations?
So I'm actually just starting. I'm not finished with the house. I closed in May and I didn't start renovations until about a month ago is when I had it demoed. A month ago, I had it demoed. Maybe a little over a month ago, it was demoed. And we are starting now. And no, everybody asked me, am I going over? And I'm not going over. I'm just going to find someone that will work with that is within my budget.
All right.
Very good.
Donna is asking, did I hear you say you could buy more than one property? There
Yes,
you go, Donna. Yeah.
yes.
There's no limit. You
No limit.
keep
Yes.
doing this. Rinse and repeat.
Donna's going to be taking your course. She has a ton of questions.
As a matter of fact, one of the first investors that I talked to at the first land bank property that I went to go view, he said that to me. He said, I've bought 7 through this.
Mhm.
He said, they love me. And it was a black man. I love him.
Good for him.
Great black man. I mean, he schooled me so much at that first. When I saw him, he took me around the property. He said, this is what you want to look for. You want to
Mhm.
look for this. This has mold up here. I wouldn't get this house because this. I was like,
Mhm.
gosh, thank you so much. I mean, he just swooped me up and taught me everything he knew within an hour-long meeting and
Wow.
at the property that we were at. And the city is supposed to come out to show you and help you view the property. And the city never came. So we were both waiting together to look at it. And I got so much knowledge from him just in that. Sometimes your network just takes you places that you can't
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because the city wouldn't have schooled you on all of that. So, yeah. Look, Donna's gonna be taking your course because Donna has a ton of questions in here. So, Donna, I'm just speaking it into life. Donna is asking, did you have to spend the 40? Did you have to actually spend the 40,000? Or let's say, do you actually have to spend the whole 40,000?
I am going to be spending the whole 40,000. Um, Only because like you said, I thought you were going to say 100. It's expensive. It's so expensive to have all of these things done, and I'm my goal at first is to Airbnb it. So I want it to look nice.
Mhm.
A nice floor and nice little hotel vibe bathroom. So
Okay.
I'm probably gonna be spending the 40. And honestly, if I had a little more, I probably would spend a little more.
So
Mm.
can I ask Donna's question a little differently? Once you provide the paperwork to the city that says, here's the renovation plan, here's my proof of ability to pay for that renovation, and they grant you this property, at that point they're out of this, right? So if you found a new contractor that said I can do all of this for 30, then that's fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are some stipulations afterwards. So of course, you have to pull permits to have work done. You cannot pull permits having your cousin down the street do your lighting. You know what I mean? If my uncle is an electrician, if he's not a certified master electrician with a city number or city licensing, he cannot pull permits. So I can absolutely have all of this stuff done without pulling the permits. But when it's time to assess the home and the city wants to get the value of it, it won't be assessed correctly
Okay.
without the permits pulled. So I'm definitely going to have the permits pulled this time. But once I'm out of this novice phase, I'm probably going to do what I want to do too.
Mhm. So I can say that we had some work done on our house, and if we had not had a permit pulled, then the resale of our house, whenever we resell it in 30 years, because I ain't moving, um, would have been tougher based on the work that we had done. So be very careful with I'm just saying this just in general to everybody here. Be very careful with regards to the work that you're doing, that you're not having permits pulled on if you're trying to resell your home, because that may come into play. Don is asking, how long do you have to stay in the home once you purchase it?
So typically, like I said, all the land bank websites that I've been to, there are different programs or ways you can buy. So just for instance, Columbus has, I believe, 3 different options of purchasing. I can purchase as an investor. I have 6 months to have the property renovated, and that's it. An owner occupant can buy for half of the asking price as long as they're going to stay there for 5 years. Because I was the only applicant, and because I found out I was the only applicant on that property, and I did all my negotiating, I told them I was not willing to stay there for 5 years. I have 3 children. My children are all 15 teenagers, and a 2-bedroom is just not going to suit us. We can't do anything with that. So I didn't want to stay there, and I told them I can't do that. I can't be in that program to stay there 5 years, but I still wanted to purchase it for half price. And they said, okay.
I like that. Ask for what you want.
I said, I can't do that. I can't stay there for 5 years. And I still want to purchase it at half price. And they said, well, we can't give it to you half. We can give it to you for a little more. And I said, I'll take it. And that keeps me from having to live there for any amount of time. I have to complete my renovation. And after that, I pay $95. I get my deed.
Were the properties listed in the land bank system all over the city, or were they concentrated in a certain area of your city?
No, they were actually all over the city. Some on the west side of Columbus, some on the east side of Columbus, some on the north side of Columbus. Most of them were in, unfavorable areas, maybe areas that they're gentrifying, which you would consider, a lower class neighborhood. The property that I purchased is literally across the park from the house that I grew up in as a child, the same area that I lived in my whole life and grew up in. And I say, yeah, this is why not buy the block? It's really my block.
Right, right. So you've come full circle, basically. Donna is, and everybody on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for being here. If you can like the video, share the video, we'd really appreciate that. We're trying to get the word out about the 10K project, so thank you so much. All right, Donna is asking if you can rent out the house, I guess once you get the deed. Can you rent it out?
Yes, absolutely. I can rent it out however I want to whoever I want.
So Chris is asking a question, but I think I'll answer it. Is this or could this be considered a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust? What Jamiyla is doing is not a REIT.
Right.
She's actually buying within, just live in the house. So asking Chris this question another way, do investors just set up LLCs to purchase? With the investors that you spoke with, or are any of them setting up REITs? The investor that you spoke with, what did he do?
Yes. So he does have an LLC. He has a whole team. The next one that I purchase, I'm going to purchase with my LLC, with a LLC, because I'm creating a plan right now with, family members and close people around me to do the same thing. The same thing I just did. We're going to do it again. And we're going to do it as a business. So yeah, we'll be purchasing with an LLC. They do allow you to do that.
Great, great. Well, we have questions here in the chat as well. People are asking if you're paying property taxes, which I think I know the answer to that.
Of course, I have not paid property taxes as of yet, but I will be. Yes. And researching, purchasing and buying in this property, I learned that when you buy in a distressed area, like I bought, you get a lot of comps. You get a lot of grants. You could get a lot of different grants. Now, I can't get any grants to assist me with the renovation, but I can get lots of tax breaks and credits and almost pay nothing for taxes over the next couple of years because of the area. And I said, these investors get these properties, they don't pay taxes, they don't pay anything. They get their $100,000 after they sell, and they're gone. I could. I said,
You know, I have this saying that, you know, in this country, fortune favors the owner.
yes,
And it's so true. I think that part of the reason why we struggle with wealth so much in the community is because we don't own. We don't own the right stuff, and we're not using the tax code to our benefit. And I always talk about, instead of paying your kids an allowance, start a family bank, an official one, and pay them through the family bank to do research, to file, to, you know, do all sorts of things within the business. You get to, I think the tax people said up to 12,500 a year. Well, that's a grand a month, you know? So I think that we're just not using these things to our benefit enough.
And I think the true meaning of ownership is what we're talking here tonight, right?
Mhm.
Because Jamiyla owns her own. I don't, the bank owns my home, right? But sister girl owns her home. She is the owner of her home. And I think that's an important lesson to take away, is
Yeah,
that this is a whole nother level of wealth building that we're
yeah.
talking about here. And it's attainable. And even though it was a little time consuming and your paperwork had to be in order, you know, those things still only took you 6 months at the end of the day. That's still
Mhm.
not a lot of time, right?
Yeah,
I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things, 6 months was it's doable.
right.
And so, you know, to anyone thinking about this, stop thinking about it and do it. I'm not playing. We're gonna all Google whatever our city is and land bank
Land
when we get
bank,
off
yeah.
this call, because this is something that is attainable. These properties are out here, you know, and you think about her godfather's story. He did this 30 years ago. Now he's sitting on, you know, a lot of big money. Think about it. If you're doing this for investment purposes, 30 years is gonna, if you're here, it's gonna come. It's gonna come and it's gonna go. So why
That's
not
true.
have this asset that you get to leave to your family and, you know, and all of that stuff too. So, you know, this is a wonderful lesson here tonight. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just to be able to tell this to everyone. When I found out, I didn't know, and I pride myself on knowing a lot. I think I know.
Mhm.
And when I said, "Oh my God, I didn't know that," you know, it's a great thing. It's a
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, so we have someone in YouTube, Bro Delano, asking. He said, "Sorry, I'm late. How do you get the 100K?" Question mark. So if you just go through the story again one more time.
Me,
Yeah.
how did I get the money to buy, to purchase and renovate?
Oh, I think that question is related to if you sold it, the
If you
house would be
sold
worth
the,
a
yeah,
hundred
for the
thousand. I think
100,
that's
yeah,
what that question is based
yeah.
on.
He said he
So,
was late, so.
so in my research and my learning, I definitely took a couple courses from some Instagram people I saw, you know, that were real estate gurus. And the way that I'm going to get the 100K is after my home is finished and livable, I'm going to go to the bank and I can take a mortgage out on the house. They will. I've already talked to a couple lenders and some realtors. The bank will assess the property. I know for the house that's immediately next door to me sold in March of 2021. Remember, I closed in May. The house next door to me sold in March. The same exact house, 2 bedroom, 984 square foot, is sold for 143,000. It's not fully renovated. Definitely had a few upgrades, but it's not brand new, and it sold for 143,000. So, if I am going to be in that vicinity, the bank will not cut you a check for the full amount of what your property is worth, right?
Right.
But you can get 80%, you can get 90% maybe. So if the home is valued for 150,000, they'll probably give me 100,000, close to it.
Mhm.
And I'm going to take that, and it's going to be just a straight check to myself. So I'm going to do it again.
Mhm.
Good for you.
Very
Good for
good. Yeah, normally
you.
they give you that 80% of the after repair value. And then that's the way to do it. You got the plan. You got it.
Yeah.
That's good. Rinse
Yeah.
and repeat.
You know, one of the things, this system and this process is not difficult overall to explain or to understand. I do think, though, that implementation and the patience that's required for doing something like this is vital. Being uh, on your wealth building journey requires patience. And people who get money fast, like a lottery or things like that, tend to lose money fast. But the people who, grow it slowly, they're methodical with it, things like that, they tend to, like your godfather, be able to get a knock on the door 30 years later, and still be smart enough to say, well, I know you're undercutting me by at least $500,000. I mean, that's a lot of money, right? So I just want people to know that as well. There is a federal program called NACA. I can't remember what it really stands for, but it's a national program that helps lower income people get housing and get a mortgage. And I had heard for years, oh, they mess with you, oh, they don't give you any loans and things like that. And I was doing some research for a show that I was on, and I decided to look at people's stories who had gotten NACA. And the thing that everybody said was, it took me 9 months, it took me 10 months to do it. And it got me to thinking, I wonder how long people who complained about the program like actually stuck with it, because these federal programs, these government is slow, period. And I think sometimes we think we're going to go in and it's going to be like working, with Bank of America or something like that, right? Yes. Mavis is saying NACA, Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. Thank you so much, Mavis. Yeah. I think that we need to be prepared for the length of time that it takes to work within any of these federal programs, but still know that we're able to do it, and we're able to get, you know, housing or houses through these programs. The other thing that I will say is, Black wealth on average is about $17,000, and white wealth on average is about 175,000 to 180,000. Most people do not know that two-thirds of white wealth is in their primary home. So I was saying before, we've done a few of these, Tawana, where I was saying, if you just owned your house outright, for most of us, we could close the wealth gap within our families. There are 9.9 million Black families in this country. If everybody just bought a house, owned their house, and had a little bit of cash in the bank, that's closing the wealth gap there. And yes, we deserve reparations. I know that. However, I'm also asking, are we tapping into these resources that can help us close the wealth gap for our families, to either be a primary homeowner or an investor, or whatever type of investing that you want to do? I'll throw it out to Tawana here to respond to that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think, though, we have to see things, and I've said this before too. I think we keep looking at building wealth like this, and we really need to look at it like this, right? Like, kind of like this. Take smaller chunks of it, because what Jamiyla is doing here is, she didn't try to find a 6-bedroom house at City Land Bank, right? She found a 2-bedroom house with a modest renovation budget. She's going to renovate it. Then she's going to get that money for that, right? Get that money back and then some. And then she's going to do it again. And maybe the next house is 3 bedrooms, right? Maybe the third one is 4 bedrooms. And then maybe the 17th house is the 6 bedrooms. But she's building gradually on it. Instead, we say, I'm going to go out in the best neighborhood, right? And I'm going to buy the $600,000 house that the bank is going to own, right? And I'm going to pay the bank for it. And we think that's wealth building. And it's not, because now many of us do that, and we're house poor, right? But it's really looking at the plan very strategically and on a smaller bird's eye view of it, and then watch it scale and grow. I think if we did that, then people could believe that it's possible, right? People who have modest income. What Jamiyla did, you don't have to make six figures to do, right? We could start researching the process now and saving. I mean, you just think about, I think about it as she's talking about, and it's like, this is beyond attainable for a very middle to low income family, even to try to do this. The key is to have that paper trail. It sounds like have your paperwork in order and to have that cash available.
Definitely, I'm sorry, like definitely a paper trail. And another thing I want to mention is, you know, my sister was like, "How do you have this money? Where do you get this money from?" And I told her when I started investing in 18, the first time I got, or 17, maybe 17 or 18, I started investing in the stock market. 2020 was great for the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
I probably made 10,000 of the money that I'm using for renovations in the stock market between 2019 and 2020.
We're gonna
So
have to have you come back to talk about that. We need the stock class next.
I literally bought, I'm just for instance, I know I bought one share of a cryptocurrency for $100, and that one share is now 4,700. And that happened last year, like over the course of, you know, last year. So literally almost $4,000 came from, of the money that I'm using for renovations came from just one share in my portfolio. One share of cryptocurrency. It was beautiful.
That is
I said,
great.
there's no way. I'm going to continue to put this $100 in here. You know, my kids were like, "Mom, I want some shoes." And I said, "Okay, well, you want some shoes? And I'm going to take 50 from here and put it over here. And then maybe later on, we can get you, we'll get the shoes from this, you know." It worked. It worked, and it's so attainable. It's so,
Fantastic.
I'm a very regular person. That's it. I don't have any extra money. I'm not a millionaire secretly. I have nothing and no house.
Well, I am so proud of you.
Yes.
People are in the chat lighting it up, not only in Zoom, but also in Facebook and YouTube. People are so inspired by you and your story. You know, I'm so happy and grateful that you were able to come and talk with us tonight about your whole process. When the course comes out, you've got to come back. So email me when you're ready. Email me if you need a focus group for the course, all of that. You know, you've got your 10K family here. We will test drive that course for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much. Tawani, have any final words?
Final words I have, for anyone who's on tonight, not a member yet, please consider becoming a member. Tonight was our community member spotlight. Tomorrow night is our Bet on Black pitch, 8 p.m. You do have to be a member to join us. The industry tomorrow is, how do I not give it all away? The arts. The
Ooh.
arts is tomorrow's industry. And Cherie talked about the benefit of becoming a member a little earlier. Please go to the10kproject.com's website, look at our explainer video to catch everything that we stand for and all the goals that we have. Look at the testimonials. We've got member testimonials as well as founder testimonials. Please go to the Become a Member tab and look at the packages that we have available. We've got a basic package called the Gold Package, $100 lifetime membership. So you pay, you heard that right, $100 one time, and you get access to sessions like this and many, many more. We also had, you also get access to those Bet on Black pitches where you can invest in startup businesses. For $347, you get access to the Platinum package, which includes 6 months of financial planning. We've partnered with a Black-owned financial planning firm called Freeman Capital, and they are providing to our members in the Platinum program 6 months, 6 whole months of financial services. And I'm working on getting testimonials for the people who have gone through that program also, or who are going through that program, so that more of you can understand what that entails as well. But what we're building here is truly an ecosystem. Cherie said it. The goal ultimately is to keep that Black dollar in this community longer, right? 6 hours is what it currently stays in the community. That's ridiculous. We should be circulating our Black hard-earned dollars in our community a lot longer than that. And we can do it. We just need a blueprint and a roadmap, and then we're going to get it done. What we heard tonight was part of that roadmap, right? Jamiyla, you talked about she's only using Black contractors, right? That's part of this. That's part of the solution, right? She's getting us one step closer to circulating that dollar in her community longer than the 6 hours. So that's what we represent. If you like even a little bit of what we talked about this evening, join us again next week. Consider becoming a member, and then you can join us every time we come on. And we just appreciate you taking the time. I'm a firm believer that time is the most valuable thing you can give of yourself. And so thank you for giving us some time this evening.
Yeah. So next week, next Monday, 6 p.m., we have a gentleman that is coming to teach us how to buy businesses. He actually has a group of Black people that are buying businesses in a specific industry. I know this is one of Tawana's favorite topics. Y'all know how I am. Buying businesses is next week. So yeah, so we've got some real hard hitters.
You guys, these businesses, they're like open the door, people working. Like, we got processes, you got money coming in on day one. Like, this is not buy a business and figure it out. Like, nope. This is buy a business that is making money by a business.
Yes. And one of our members connected me with the person. So I want to shout out to Robin. So, all righty then, everybody. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow night. And, God bless you all.
Good night, everyone. Thank you again, Jamiyla. Good luck with everything.